think it's a CBR 600. Speaking of which, my CBR 600 F4i is still in the shop. The plastics on that bike, of course, and I knew this going in, are crazy expensive. You want to replace all the fairings all over the bike, the rear cowl, the front cowl, the lower left, lower right fairing. If you want to replace all that stuff, it's going to cost you close to $2,500 US. So don't crash your bike, and don't buy a fancy-ass sport bike as your first bike. I said in an earlier video that I've dropped my Ninja, which is what I'm riding right now. I've dropped this bike 3 times practicing U-turns in the parking lot of a Best Buy near where I live. That was in the first week, 3 drops. And it's the worst feeling in the world when you drop your bike. I was just like fucking livid, man. I was pissed off like I normally would never be. Yeah, I was extremely ticked off. Same thing when I dropped the F4i within the first week of getting it. That was just so stupid. The worst part is I don't think you can ever really be fully ready for the next level of bike going up. You know, you go from your 250 up to your 600cc sport bike, you're never really going to be fully ready for what that 600cc offers. You'll get on it, you'll drive very tentatively, very carefully when you get on that 600 after you've been riding the 250 for a while. But it won't take long for you to really appreciate the creamy power of that 600cc sport bike. My F4i, as it turns out, does something like over 100 horsepower, and it's also not normally a California legal bike. It's a 49 state bike, but it was brought into this state by someone who was moving here from another state, so they got an exemption on it. So my bike actually has my F4i actually has a little more power than an F4i that you would normally buy here locally. So, getting back on the topic here of making these videos, and it's actually kind of funny to be compared to Mordeth, because this is really no comparison. So for the time being, I'm going to keep sticking mostly to topics about riding and just finding some roads. And that's another reason. It's just more like a travel log, or showing people around LA if they're wondering what it's like out here. You know, it's like if someone lived in, say, Munich or something like that, and they went to the BMW factory or the BMW headquarters. I'd be interested in seeing that. And they just showed us different parts of Germany, like the Nürburgring and whatnot. This road is pretty jacked up right now. They're repaving it. But yeah, there's people in other countries, other places, or even other states rode around making these videos. It'd just be kind of cool just to see what these other places look like. It's not like we all have time to go to these places whenever we want. So it's a bit of a travel thing too, or show people what other places look like. series. And sometimes if you keep your camera running, you'll find some interesting things happening. I think one of my favorites is still that video where that parachutist flies right by like all of 20 yards away, almost at the same altitude as me. So it's partly information for people who've never ridden before, partly because it keeps things interesting for me as a rider, and partly to give other people everywhere else a chance to see what this place is like. And you've got to admit, this place is pretty sweet for riding a motorcycle. You can ride all year round. Every road that I've videoed so far, the twisties I've videoed, they're all within like half an hour of where I live, which is pretty central to this region. Alright, so I guess I've beaten that topic to death. And now I should probably talk about night riding.